the anti-blackness is the real pandemic globally. That's the biggest issue. And these people who don't have melanin or have a little bit of melanin that want to support white supremacy, it's because they're weak. So they try to look for power somewhere else. But anytime you think that you are better than somebody else because you have less pigment, like, you're weak as fuck. Like, stop with the inferiority complex. Like, what is wrong?
Because let's talk about this shit, because this shit is so fucking true. A lot of Hispanic and Latino parents will literally try to teach you at a young age to not be friends with black people, and it's fucking disgusting. They show you racism, anti-blackness, like colorism at a fucking young age. You could be a dark-skinned Latino and yet you will get a lot of fucking hate. Not only that, media will even fucking show that shit too, where literally they show that white Latinos are literally rich, smart, educated, and they're always holy. But when it comes to black people or Afro-Latinos, they're ghetto, they're poor, uneducated, and they're criminals. And not only that, a lot of these celebrities believe this shit too. And also, they do blackface. And that's why a lot of people don't want to unionize when it comes to the Hispanic and Latino community, because of the amount of fucking anti-blackness, the racism towards black people. And not only that, y'all forget that literally black people have influenced our fucking community so much, from technology, from food, to even music. And some of y'all bitches be dancing to those music that literally were influenced by black people.
Hello guys, this is your boy Golden Boy, and again I'm having another interesting video here about the Latinos and the Hispanics, saying that they have been experiencing this racism underground. Like there's a lot of racism in the Latino. And again, I want to tell you that Latino is not a race. And yes, I want us to dive into this video and listen to some of the stories which these people gave out about what they experience when they experience with the Latino community.
Have you ever been in a situation where somebody was talking about you in another language, but the entire fucking time they didn't realize that you speak that language? Yeah, that happens to me a lot. Now, I will preface this by saying I am half Mexican, and I do speak Spanish fluently, but when I'm out in the world, people look at me and assume there is nothing Spanish speaking about this woman, as if people can't learn languages. Anyways, well, my favorite story is about a time that I went to McDonald's. I ordered a bunch of value burgers for my kids, but specifically 4 cheeseburgers plain, no condiments. But when I got home, I realized that those 4 plains had no meat on them. Thankfully, we're literally a block down the street from fucking McDonald's, so I go back. I had my burgers in my hand with the bag. It was busy. I stood to the side. I wasn't being rude. I worked customer service, and besides, I know rudeness is counterproductive. All I said was, hey, I need to speak to a manager. Whenever you guys get a chance, I'm going to be standing right here. Okay, cool. Manager comes out, maybe no more than 5 minutes. Yes, how can I help you? I was like, yes, hi. I was here about 10-20 minutes ago, and I ordered about 10 value burgers, blah, blah, blah. Gave her the gist. She goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Looks at the guy at the cashier, right? For the sake of the story, we'll call him Hector, okay? But she looks at him and says, Hector, ¿estás revisando la comida que sale antes que las envuelves? Hector says, sí, claro. She replies and says, ¿estás seguro? Porque esta señora me dijo que tú le diste hamburguesa sin carne. This little boy go look me up and down and tell her, te está mintiendo, nomás quiere comida gratis. You know what I did? First of all, I took a breath because I wanted to cuss him the fuck out. But I said to him in Spanish, el único que miente aquí eres tú. Es más, yo ni quiero mi comida gratis. Yo solamente quiero que me den mis hamburguesas como deben de ser. The look on his face. And of course, he ran away like a little coward that he was. The manager apologized, offered me the refund. I didn't want the refund. I just wanted my food. But I guarantee you he'll think twice before doing that shit again.
This is a no sleeping zone.
Damn, I missed it. Damn, I missed it.
I think it's still holding on to the phone.
This comment reminds me of an incident that happened to me when I studied abroad in Ecuador for a couple of months, and oof. There were a lot of race-related things that happened to me on this trip because I was the only black person and one of only, I think, 3 people of color on this trip. 3? Actually, now that I think about it, it was me. There was a girl who was a Mexican. There was a guy there who was Puerto Rican. And the only other minority there was a white liberal lesbian. But I digress. The story's not about them. While I was studying abroad, I wasn't like doing it on my own or, you know, like it was through the school, but we had host parents. And I got paired with a really sweet older lady, and her name was Irlanda. Loved her. Absolutely loved her. She was marvelous. But I do remember one of our very first conversations that we had when I got there, and it was about my boyfriend. She had asked if I had had somebody back home, and I showed her a picture. At this time, I was dating someone who was biracial. His mother was black, his father was Indian, and he was about my skin complexion. I showed her the picture, and she looks at him, and then she looks at me. She looks back at the picture, and then she's like, no. And I'm confused. I'm like, what? Like, why would she say something like that? She then tells me that she thinks he's really handsome, but that I can't marry him and that I can't have babies with him because, and please don't come at my Spanish isn't as good as it used to be, but she said, mejorar la raza, or mejorando la raza. And I was so confused because at the time my Spanish was good. That was the whole point of me studying abroad, was that it was going to be my minor. And what she had said, literally translated in my head, was better the race. And I was confused as to why she would say something like that to me or what it even meant. And so I asked her for clarity. She broke it down and basically explained to me that because he was a dark-skinned man and that I was a dark-skinned woman, that we shouldn't be together because it would then produce dark-skinned children, and that wouldn't be advantageous to me. And y'all know, you know the sound like the nigga was too stunned to speak. I mean, I just stared at her because she was not a fair-skinned woman, and I couldn't believe that she was saying something like that to me. But after she said that, I noticed the way that I was experiencing Ecuador and the way that my peers were experiencing Ecuador were like 2 completely different experiences, night and day. And the sad part is, if I'm being very honest with myself, this was definitely foreshadowing for what was to come probably 8 months later, when I ended up dating the guy who was Puerto Rican and told me that he couldn't talk to me anymore because his family was not going to accept the fact that he was dating a black woman. Colonization really did a number on everybody.
It's so sad that we as black people, we are fighting against against one another, like we are hating one another. Now to that lady, the first speaker who is talking, this lady who experienced that she was being told that she's a black person. Like this first person said that the black communities have always been seen that people who are poor, and in this scenario, it is also happening in our in Africa. Like there's some of the communities which will come and when you go to their shop, they will try to talk to backbite you. To backbite you is to sengage. I don't know how to say it. To talk bad about someone. Yes, so it is something that has been happening, and it was very very awkward that even the Latinos are doing this to their fellow countrymen and women. Yes, this is not something that is not only happening to these women, the black people. And I also had a story here that the Latinos are also these people who are somehow racist. Like if you are a black person and you go to their hotels or restaurant, they will treat you poorly. And it is something that is very very racist, and it is in the year 2024, which I think that it is something that is very very bad. Like I've always said that racism is something that is very very dangerous to the community, and one of the dangerous things is that it will cause mental health. Now some of the solutions that I came up with is that if you are a black person and you see that these people you are going to be attended by the white Latinos, and you see that they are not treating you very well, you need to go out. You don't need to fight. You don't need to engage them in the fight. You don't need to quarrel with these people. You only need to find your space and move, because how are we going to treat these people? How are we going to teach these people a lesson? The only lesson we need to do is ignorance. And we also have to know that treating someone badly, it is lack of humanity. And it is that the same way that we need to do, like we need to treat one another special, like humans. Not that when you see me as a black person, you'll treat me badly or you'll backbite me because you think that there are some of the bad stereotypes. You say that I am a poor person. Who told you that we black people are poor? Who told you that all the black people are poor? Who told you that all the black people don't have opportunities like same as yours? So it is something that is very, very unfortunate that even the Latinos are doing this to their own country women. To that fellow like, guy who was sleeping on the, I think it was very bad that this person was sleeping on the road, on the garage. Yes, it was on the garage, and you may find that it is somehow not racism, but also it is just a way that maybe this guy stuck on that environment and he was not ready to move, and that's why this guy poured water. At the same time, maybe you'll find that this guy was on drugs or something else. So it is somehow important that we need to know that as we are treating some people badly, it is not all about racism, but it is also a way that you need to chase. Like for a long time that the black community have always been given bad names, that these are people who have always been involved in the crime scene, who have always been involved in drugs, who have always involved in a lot of divorce, who have no parental roles to their children, who the parents are single, who the family, most of the families are single, who are involved in the gunshot. And yes, do you think these are the facts which have always been told? And these are the bad stereotypes which we need to get rid of, that whenever you see a black person, you talk negatively about him, you think that this guy is poor, he is not capable of affording health care, is not capable of affording water and also the sanitary. So it is high time we get rid of this racism. And how do we get rid of this racism? Is through teaching our young children. And yes, like this guy said that long time that these people are being taught that to hate the black people, and it's also not happening to the Latinos. It also happened to the South African. Yes, I want to engage you in some of the things that I had in my laptop here. That there are a lot of things you need to learn and see for yourself. Yes, to the Latinos, to this another thing that you also need to learn, that when you are moving to those Hispanic countries where people are the Hispanic are, you need to know Spanish. You also need to know French. And yes, I am a Luo, and someone cannot know me I'm a Luo because we have been depicted like the Luos are people who are totally dark. And it's also something that the lady was talking about, that she was being the people were talking behind her back. And it's also happened to me that I also went to a shop and the people were talking to their mother tongue, telling me how I'm slim, I'm having bad hair, bad head, why I'm looking like that. Yes, and I heard them very well, but how did I do this? I just pointed them and told them that what they were talking about, it is not good for me because I'm of their same community. So it is also so funny that this lady, the way she went there, the people thought that she needed food. Yes, let's dive into what I found about a Latino. Actually, I came up and realized that Latinos are not even the rest. It is just some of the high-ending people that we usually talk about, that Latinos and Hispanic are race. Yes, let's dive in and see what it is happening, what is really happening between the Latinos, and that is the black community, and the Europeans, and also the US. Like, what is really happening to mean that some of the black people have joined the European countries to fight against the black community, and it is something that I feel it is not okay. In the first video, you'll find that this guy is pouring water to this black person, and you'll see that this white Latino, there's a lot of stories which are coming up that he pours water to this guy because he was sleeping on the garage. And yes, do you think he will do this if it was a white Latino? Yes, as the people have always said that the white Latinos are people who have always been having that high rank experience, like that people who have been given that high grade hand. Yes, like there have been people who have treated like white people, like white, and the black Latinos are also not being treated the same way. Yes, there's a lot of experiences with these two communities, like the black communities. And also, I also have a lot of stories that even children are really crying out that where their parents are, did their parents roast them on the oven, and why are they totally black? So they want to be a white, the same way to the black Latinos. Yes, I want to give you some of the stories here which I had for you. Is that I want us to give a differences between the Latinos and the yes, Latino, first of all, it is not a race. And like I've always said that Latino is not a race. Now, when you go to the America is also is a continent, and it is the US in the Union of Foreign Europeans. And the Europeans are also colonies on the African American continent. Now, like Africans you'll find that also the European are the colonies on the American continent, like the Africans. Those are two different people. Now, if these people are two different, they are not indigenous of the Americans. With that said, let me continue by saying that the blacks will do anything so that brown people whose ancestors are of this continent won't find out the roles black have played in the European colonizers' wars of exterminations of indigenous people across the America. So the history is very real on the America, and if you look, you'll find it that the black are fighting alongside the Europeans on the extermination of indigenous people on the island of the Caribbean in South America, and later black Americans fighting alongside the colonies in the North America on the extermination of indigenous people in the Northern America, which they have romanticized with their stories, with a lot of stories. So when you find it, it is very crucial that people, we are really fighting against, we are really fighting for ourselves. Like these people are not, they are saying that they are not the black people, and they are the white. Now I want to give you some of the thing that is also here, that plus in the same way European historic have done when the colonizers mark people, Europeans shows the people as deserving all their abuses. The same way black Africans who helped European colonizers on continent. And yes, they were forced as slaves, but even when free to choose, they choose to fight alongside Europeans. Just as when they invade Asians with Europeans, and the Asians were like, "What are you doing here? This is not your war." That was exactly how black Africans have been fighting along the Europeans for the exterminations of the brown people on the Americans. Yes. Now, on the real thing, like they are fighting in the extermination of the real people of the American alongside European colonizers. Black even tell the indigenous people of South the Americans that it is us who, like everybody else, all owes black Africans our lunch money by saving. Yes, when I say this by saying that the indigenous people and the North Americans are black African slaves, then it is just true that it had happened right when the African blacks were fighting together with the Europeans to extermination indigenous people in the Northern America. In those battles, indigenous people will capture European colonizers as well as the black Africans who are helping them extermination the indigenous people. Now, when you talk about this, you also want to equate it to the proud Buffalo soldiers, as in all wars captured prisoners of war at severe, whether they were Europeans or the black Africans, helping them conquer our continent, our extermination us. Now, indigenous people never had businesses of slavery, and unlike Europeans who had farms that were incorporated in the businesses of slavery. Now those black Africans can speak of how they are discriminated and how Africans should be free of European colonizers, while all of them, while all along helping Europeans conquer and maintain colonial occupation of our continent, they have made us outsiders on our continent and replaced us with Europeans and the black Africans, who have relationship of hate with the European colonizers, where they hate each other but work together against the brown people of the Americans, because this is our homeland and not European and not Africa, which is who they are that we are not. Now, as a white person, as a black person, or as someone who is talking about this, I would like to thank these Spanish people who help colonize America. Now, the thing, what I was reading is that there are some of the brown people who have gone alongside the European people, and they are fighting the black people. Like, they are trying to show that they are more special, more than the black people. Yet these people are of the same origin, like the black people who they are fighting. So in short, I'm trying to say that there are some of the Latinos who have joined fight with the Europeans to fight against the black communities. Now, you have heard all of that. That's what I heard about this video. Yes, let's check in, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel.